Hello, friends. Your old Uncle Andy here, the UC Panda himself, coming to you on January 16th with what we hope are some winning sports picks. We've done our homework today. We've got a huge NHL card, 13 big games on the docket tonight in the National Hockey League. We've gone through them, and surprisingly, there are not all that many plays that we like. Goals seemingly way down this year. Goals per game average in the NHL this year is just over six. Now, that's an average, of course. You're still going to see nightly. You're going to see tonight. You saw the other night when there was also a 13 game card up. You saw several games that maybe scored 11 goals, 9 goals, 10 goals, 8 goals. There were several more, though, 2-1 games, 3-0 shutouts, 3-1, 3-2. Average them all together, and scoring is down league wide. But fear not, we are here. We've done our homework for you, and we hope you go ahead and tail us on some bets. Um, Give you a little update here. As we've mentioned before, we're going to keep mentioning. We did end up 2024 up almost 150 units. That's pretty good. After all the teasers and parlays and everything that was tied up to the Ravens, the Bills, when those both came in over the weekend, we went from being down about 70 units to being down only about 13 and a half units. Since then, we've made a few more investments. Coming into this morning's play, we stand at minus 3374 units. That includes losses and investments. A lot of those are going to be, of course, investments. And we have a lot of those tied up in mainly the Kansas City Chiefs, somewhat to a lesser extent to the Lions as well, just money line. The Lions, I've just got a sneaky feeling they're going to just mess around. I definitely wouldn't lay the 8.5, 9.5. Don't lay the wood with either the Chiefs. I wouldn't do it either, but definitely not the Lions. I've just got a feeling in that Lions game, the Commanders are going to stick around. I know the Lions coming off rest and all that, but the Lions really been dealing with the injury bug, and the Commanders are a pretty spunky outfit. We did step on a couple of small college landmines Monday and Tuesday. Thank you, Lamar. Thank you, Kent State. Both of them losing as like double-digit home favorites against inferior teams. Last night, we almost stepped on the landmine again with UNC Asheville. They were like a 16 and a half point favorite at home, hosting my wife's alma mater, USC Upstate, and it took a last second bucket by UNC Asheville to even pull that off to save last night's juice reducer parlays. So we're trying to be as choosy as we can with these juice reducers. But when you're playing these NHL props, these period over props like we like to play, and they're minus 250, you just can't bet a dollar to win it, or 250 to win a dollar. And it's just not a way to make money over time because these props are still only hitting at most 60% of the time. So you continuing to bet 250, 250, 250 to win a dollar, a dollar, a dollar. If you're right, even two-thirds of the time, you're still losing money. So it's just not a way to go. So you've got to parlay these things. But it's a successful betting system as we saw last year, and we are going to stick with it. Keep on following us over at Uncle Andy Sports on Twitter for all the plays. We don't make a video every night, of course, but we do post all the plays on Twitter. We do have a small juice reducer parlay up this evening. I really like Grand Canyon. I love Florida Gulf Coast. You could probably even lay the number with those two teams if you wanted to. Throw the Chiefs in there. It's a minus 233 on the money line. It's juice reducer parlay, and it has an implied probability of hitting of 70%. Grand Canyon hosting Abilene Christian, ranked 231st in the country. Grand Canyon is ranked 96th in the country. I like it. I've got it capped Grand Canyon winning this thing by like 11. And also in this series, home teams have won 5 of the 6 past meetings. So 5 of 6 home teams, Grand Canyon at home, the better team. We're going to go ahead and roll with Grand Canyon. I also like Florida Gulf Coast. These two teams just played a couple of weeks ago, Florida Gulf Coast against West Georgia, and the Gulf Coast won that one easily on the road. I know a lot of people say, well, Western Georgia's in a revenge spot. Is it really a revenge spot? This isn't Ohio State, Michigan. This isn't a contest between two teams that one of them knocked the other one out of the NCAA tournament last year. There's no history of bad blood between them. It's just another game to them. So I don't buy this revenge spot for this particular situation. We're going to go ahead and go with our juice producer and throw in there some of our favorite teams are in action tonight. A lot of our smaller colleges that we like to bet on have been successful for us are in action this evening, including Tennessee Martin, North Carolina, Northern Colorado, excuse me, and we're going to pair that up with Delaware to almost even money. Love UNC Wilmington tonight. Love Moorhead with Northern Arizona at plus 132. Love over second period and the Sharks and the Jackets. Jackets, for some reason at home, I mean, they're just a terror. Their road home splits as far as goals for is really something to see. They're scoring over a goal and a half more per game at home than they are on the road. I guess they like home cooking. Um, Love New Jersey, Toronto first period under 2 for plus money in the juice reducer parlay. Love the Rangers and Utah second period over. They've both teams have been in a scoring drought. I think the game as a whole will stay under, but statistically speaking, these two both score and give up quite a few goals in the second period. I think you'd be okay to go ahead and take the game under. Two things can be true at once. That's very much true in a hockey game. And I think you're going to see that maybe even in the New Jersey Toronto game. I think you'll see a low scoring first period and maybe some more goals, particularly in the second period and in the third period. I think that's true in the Rangers and Utah Hockey Club game. I think the game stays under, but for some reason, these two teams in the second period, they like to get it going. Same thing in the Kraken and the Jets. I think the game stays maybe under 7. I think it goes over 5. I think it's like a 4-2 game one way or the other. And I do like the third period over in this contest as well. Also about the Jets and the Kraken, they played just a few weeks ago and it was a 4-3 game. If you look at the Kraken, the aggregate total goals scored in their last 5 games, not that they've shot, by the way, but just the aggregate total of their past 5 games has been 7. So I think that game goes over 5 easily. We do have a larger parlay tonight. It involves the teams we mentioned earlier in the juice reducer parlay. And we also threw in third period overs with the Sharks and Jackets, the Ducks and Bolts. Those 4 teams are among the league leaders in third period overs. Threw the Lions on there. And then we've got under 6.5 in the Kings and the Canucks. I love that as well. The books are trying to ward against action on that. Under 5.5 in the Kings Canucks is minus 140. That's unheard of. That's like mid 1990s hockey, stuff. But if you look at the Kings and the Canucks, Kings, their last 4 games, they had a game postponed due to the wildfires. Last 4 games, they're averaging a total of 2.5 goals per game. That's not them scoring. That's the total goals scored in all the games they've been involved in the last 4. 2.5. And a couple of 1-0 games in there, couple 2-1 games. So pretty low scoring with the Kings. Canucks also low scoring lately. The aggregate total goals scored in their last 5 games is also 5. Aggregate those together, now you're looking at 3.75. So that's why it's an under tonight. Although the one time the Kings and the Canucks did play this year, it was a 4-2 win for the Canucks. It went over 6. I think it stays under tonight. So I do love that play. Indeed, as I mentioned earlier, all the NHL scoring is down this year. That's why we're on the NHL Grand Slam under 78.5. That was juice to the under. It was a minus 125. So I threw the Chiefs on there and it went from a minus 125 to a plus 123. I don't think we're going to see all that many goals tonight. I personally had the Grand Slam capped at a scant 74 goals. So 74. I don't see any of these games getting all that out of hand. I think the bookmakers are trying to ward against maybe the Jackets getting out of hand because they're at home and they score so well. I think they're maybe banking on this Tampa Bay Anaheim game to get out of control. I don't think it will. Anaheim, not a good team, but they play well. They are not getting blown out. This is not like last year with the Sharks or the Ducks, either one. I know the Ducks lost the other night, but they only lost 3-0. The Ducks don't score all that many goals necessarily, but they're not really allowing goals. They're not getting their brains beaten out every night. So I do think the NHL Grand Slam stays under this evening. We also have a 5-unit no sweat bet on the Chiefs minus 2.5. Lions just to win, and Bills plus 7.5. I think you could flip that too and do Ravens 7.5. I think this Bills Ravens game is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a very close one. I think if your book would allow you to do a same game parlay of this nature, I would tease up the under. Both teams are going to want to grind the clock out, and I would do both teams plus 7.5. I don't think anybody blows anybody out here. I think it's a close game. Could be one where it goes to overtime. Check your numbers on that. See what the payout is for the game to go overtime. That could very well happen. I could very well see this also being something where it's a last second field goal, and that's how the game is won. Baltimore's kicker's been a little shaky this year. I think Bills definitely the better team on special teams. So, things like that make a difference. I think if these two teams played 100 times, I think it would maybe be a 50-50 split. But they're just playing one time. That's this weekend in Buffalo in the weather. And I just think the Bills are going to win. Wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens won, though. So, I did have a question from a friend on Twitter about the Chicago-Nashville game. He wanted to know, he tracks this stuff too. He wanted to know why I was not betting third period over in the Blackhawks and the Predators because, as he correctly pointed out, that prop between the two teams is 59 and 29. It's hitting 67% of the time. Why am I not including third period over in the Blackhawks and the Predators? Here's why. It's true. Third period over is hitting at a 2-to-1 clip with these two teams. That's true. Do you know why that is? That's because they're giving up. Both teams are giving up goals by the bucket in the third period. Neither one of them are scoring goals in the third period. Both teams bottom 5 in the NHL as far as goals for in the third period. Both way up there on goals allowed, but it takes two to tango in the NHL. If you put two teams together that give up a lot of goals, somebody has to score the goals. So that's not really conducive to a third period over. Now watch the third period over hit, and I'll look silly, but I can only go where the numbers lead me. So that is why the Blackhawks and Predators third period over is not on the card. So wanted to answer that question for my friend. That's all for me. Probably come back with another video tomorrow night. A lot of rinky-dink conference basketball. On Friday nights, you see a lot of your Northeastern leagues, your Manhattans, your Canisiuses of the world playing. And so hopefully we'll have a few plays for you on that. Looking forward to Friday, looking forward to the weekend. We hope everyone has a good night. And if you tail us to the window, we will cash tickets together. Have a good evening, everybody.